Hi there, thanks for coming out, checking me out again today. Today we're going to do a quick and easy watercolor painting, but we're going to do some pine trees, which is something I don't do very often. And I don't really have a reason why I don't do them very often. I live in southern Ontario and there's, non-stop pine trees, so I thought we'd give it a shot today. So I've wet the page from about the halfway mark down to about the 1/3 mark here. And I've put blue on and I've left some white areas. So just streak, streak, streak. I want you to think about touching the page less, all right? So in general, that's the way I want you to think about working is, and I'm using a big honkin' 3/4 inch flat brush, big honkin'. I'm gonna put some pine trees in. The flat brush is great for doing pine trees because it gives you that long point like that. And I want you to watch what I'm doing. I'm tapping the brush onto the page, okay? So tapping it onto the page. There's no brush strokes here, just tapping it on there. And I'm going to take this brush, I'm not going to rinse it out. I'm going to put it right into my Payne's gray, which is going to be much more intense color. So this would be dry on wet. So whenever you want to bump up the saturation of paint, you just take your moist brush and tap it into your color, and then you'll get something that's much more saturated and darker. Okay, so I like the way a lot of that's turning out there. That's pretty cool. Actually, if you're trying to do something in the winter, that you might just say, that's sort of it. That very cool blue along with those is turning out really nice. All right, so I took my brush, I rinsed it out, and then I just took my fingers and dragged it across it and got the last little bit of color off there. See, I had a little drop there. I just tapped it until it sort of disappeared. Now I'm going to take this brush. There's very little water on it. And I'm going to pick up this green. And I'm just going to tap it. Again, tapping the brush onto the page. And put a little bit of green trees in here in a few places. Not many. I'm going to take this brush. And I'm going to swoop it across here. Okay, just one long stretch like that. If you want that to be a little bit more intense, you go touch the green paint and drag it across there. Okay, that's kind of got a pretty interesting line going on there now. So I'm going to take this brush, I'm going to rinse it out because I want to pick up some sienna. I'm going to drop some sienna right across there. Okay, again, long brush stroke. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna rinse it out one more time. And you see I've sort of lost some of the points of some of those pine trees there, right? So I'm gonna take this brush, I'm gonna put it back into the Payne's gray. And I'm gonna come back in here and I'm just gonna touch it in a few places. And those ones there are pretty good there. Those ones still have a point to them, so I'm not gonna do too much there. Okay, now let's just leave that now. I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to put it into my water and rinse it out really well. And then I'm going to take my fingers and I'm going to squeeze out most of the water. And I'm going to pick up this yellow ochre right here. Now with one long brush stroke all the way across there, we're going to put that yellow ochre in, okay? Just one continuous line. Okay. I'm going to put this back into the yellow ochre, like right into the paint. Just do that. Put a little bit of that in here too. All right, so rinse that off really well. And I'm going to pick up some sienna. So this is right out of the palette. Just drop that in there in a few places like that. But what I want to do is I want to take my #1 watercolor brush and I've sharpened the one end of it with my utility knife, okay? Just gonna drag that through there. We're gonna scribe some shrubs or, you know, whatever it might be that you're thinking about there. Put a little bit of that in the background here, not too much, okay? Now I'm gonna take this brush. I still have that sienna on it, and touch it a little bit more. Touch it in a few places. And again, what you need to watch the motion that I'm doing here. I'm tapping the brush onto the page. All right, rinse that out. And I'm gonna pick up my blue again. And it's pretty intense, but not severely intense. And then I'm going to drop that in there in a few places. Just like that. And we're gonna let that all bleed together, okay? Now, I need a little bit more dark in this painting. So I'm just gonna, I wet my brush and I picked up a little bit of Payne's gray. Look at where that blue and that sienna and everything's all bleeding together in there. That's pretty cool. Okay, don't mess with it too much. Now we can take our salt, and I'm just gonna drop a few grains of salt in a few places. And again, we're just gonna let it sit there and let this dry and see what happens to it. All right. All right, let's have a look at this. This sky turned out pretty cool, right? Like the blue, and then you get these white patches, this little bit of white haziness near the ground. And then our scribe lines that we put in here, those turned out great. These do look like pine trees here, a little bit like pine trees over here, but overall, I mean, the effect that turned out here with the salt and everything, very cool little painting. Put our mat on here. Yeah, that turned out all right. It's all crooked there. Yeah, something like that. That's pretty good. I like it. Let me know what you think of it in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to know where you're from. If you could drop me a comment, let me know where you're from. I'd really appreciate it. And if you're currently a subscriber, thanks a lot. And if you're not currently a subscriber, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you again next time. I really like this little green area across here and this yellow ochre sort of field across there. That turned out great.